Previously on the Side Hustle Show.
I don't want to trade my time for money. What it comes down to. I want to be balling. I want to be on a beach somewhere. Of course,
it's not going to be green lights all the way. There's going to be a couple of stop signs, a couple of detours. So I gotta make it through these detours now so that I could get to my end result. Maybe you're right. Maybe I do need to figure out exactly what my niche should be. What would be the more profitable niche? I'm working every weekend. I'm still working, the 5 days of the regular week. So it's at least 6 days a week I'm working. It's just like, where do I find the time?
Welcome to the Side Hustle Show, where aspiring part-time entrepreneurs learn how to turn their side hustle dreams into reality. Because your 9 to 5 may make you a living, but your 5 to 9 makes you alive. And now, your host, Nick Loper.
Hey everybody, Nick Loper here. Welcome to the Side Hustle Show. This is episode 119, and it's the latest installment of my public coaching experiment, where I'm working with two different side hustlers on opposite sides of the country, working on two very different business models to get their non-job income streams off the ground over the course of this year. If you want to tune in from the beginning to learn where we started, where we've come from and where we're going, you can do so at sidehustlenation.com/PC. That's PC for public coaching. And if you want to work directly with me, I do have some limited availability for side hustle strategy sessions and private coaching for the duration of this year. You can check those options out at sidehustlenation.com/services. Now, in this call, we're catching up with Wellington, as you heard in the intro. And I've actually enlisted the special help of Dane Maxwel from thefoundation.com to help us get to the core of the issues that we've been talking about as it relates to Wellington's software as a service idea, the renovation estimator tool for contractors. So in this call, we get pretty heavy into the mindset, the challenges, and the next steps required to really make this thing a reality. Now, the Foundation, Dane's program, if you're not familiar with it, is a premium entrepreneurship training program that focuses on helping people build a software business from scratch. Often, people will start with no ideas, no customers, no money, except for the money required to join the program. But it's consistently mentioned as one of the top educational programs out there for entrepreneurs. And I'm always hearing about the sometimes seriously life-changing success stories that have come from some of their students. Now, Dane was gracious enough to share his time on this call, and if you like what he has to say, check out thefoundation.com to learn more. Their next session is starting August 9th, and applications are open now if that's something that might be a fit for you. So where we left off with Wellington, he was kind of at the end of the rope with his developer, trying to get this travel hacking app approved into the App Store, just going back and forth on all these different bugs. And I actually have some great news to share. That app was approved. It is live. It is available for download in the Apple App Store right now. In fact, I've got it on my phone right now, so I think that is a big, big victory for Wellington. So I think that was really cool to see. Now, on the monetization side, Wellington said he's earned 25 cents in ad clicks and $1.40 in pro version downloads, which, if you remember from our intro episode, Wellington earned 7 cents online all of last year, all of 2014. So he's way ahead of pace. He's shattering his previous personal best. The app is called Getaway Geek. Getaway Geek, it's a little blue guy with a globe for his head, a little stick figure with a globe for his head. That's the one if you want to check it out. I have it on my phone, have not been able to dive into it yet, but looking forward to checking it out. We're going to circle back another time, actually, to talk about marketing the app, spreading the word about it, seeing if we can improve that 25 cents in ad clicks and that 140 in revenue in downloads. So we're going to circle back to that, but the focus for the call today is really the software business idea. And I left this call mostly unedited intentionally because I want you to hear the longer than normal silences. Some would say awkward silences, but that is, so if you hear it go dead for 5 or 10 seconds, that's all. It's all part of the show. This is not your phone is not dying. But during those times, I want you to put yourself in Wellington's shoes. How would you answer these questions? 'Cause these are really pointed questions from Dane in most cases, and they're like, even myself would have a hard time answering them. So I think Wellington comes up with some very telling, it's a very raw, some very emotional answers. You may find yourself halfway through and saying, hey, what am I listening to? And you may find yourself, hey, this is exactly what I needed to hear. Now, at the very end of the episode, I encourage you to stick around because Dane gets through some of the nitty gritty, the next steps on how he would go about, doing his outreach and reaching potential customers for this software business and doing the idea extraction and all of that. But the questions that you're going to hear is like, some very pointed things. Like I said, like, how bad do you want it? 100%, more than 100%. Then why haven't you done it yet? It's just like, kind of cuts straight to the core. And then, what's holding you back? So put yourself in Wellington's shoes and we'll get right into it. Today, we're looking at the SaaS model, the software as a service model, through the lens of Wellington's idea for a home renovation estimator tool. And where we left off was with me giving the homework assignment, as it were, of talking with different contractors, real estate investors, to figure out what tools they're currently using to get this renovation estimating done, what their pains and problems are with those tools. So, Wellington, you want to kick us off? What's the status on that? I know you've been working some crazy hours since then.
Yeah. As far as the research that I promised that I would do, I've met with a couple of contractors. I actually just met with one yesterday. A little self-serving. I just need to do some work in my backyard. So I asked them to come out, just take a look around, take some measurements, and just give me a price, something very specific. And it's actually my niche at my job. So I know a lot more about it than I let on to the guy. This is just the last guy that I talked to and the most recent guy. So that's why I'm going through this guy first.
Okay.
But, I need some garbage removed from my backyard, and I have all grass, and I want to do a concrete. I just want to convert it all to concrete. So he's telling me for a 200 square foot backyard, he jotted a couple notes down, $12,000, he says to me. And I said, well, how the heck did you arrive at that price? He said, well, I need to get a pump, I need to get gravel, I need to get wire mesh, etc. All that sounds fine, but just the $12,000, just the labor component of that just didn't jive with me. So I went back and forth with him. He said, at the end of the day, we left off that he could do at $9,000. So it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. Like he was just trying to rip me off at first. And I feel like that's the experience that a lot of people have with contractors. And I want to kind of bridge the gap between what the contractors want to earn and what people like me who are looking to get something done want to pay. So there's got to be an in-between. There's got to be a more scientific method, and that's really what I want to get to.
Yeah, I got you. You're going all concrete in the backyard, just like your haircut, low maintenance, man.
Yeah, that's right. No, I just figured it was something very simple that I can just ask a bunch of people to do. It's something that it's very hard to misinterpret what I want. So I asked a couple of guys to do it. He was actually the highest. I had gotten prices around $7,000, $8,000, $9,000. So his final price was actually on the high end of the normal prices that I had been getting.
And he didn't have any. Did he show you an itemized bid of like, hey, here's parts, here's labor, here's what's going into this?
No, but just through my background, like I know how much a concrete pump would cost to rent. I know the labor not the labor, but the material that it would take to get it done properly. You would need, the gravel, the wire mesh, like I mentioned before, all the concrete itself, from the plant. So, I'm a lot more familiar with it than what he knew about.
So, do you think it's a pain point of him, like the estimating? Because it seems like he was happy. He was going to happily charge you $12,000. Like, I don't know if was he having an issue with that or not.
Well, that's kind of the issue. It's not really a pain point. What the pain point then becomes is having to haggle down or having to fight for his number, where I was like, no way, there's no way I can do it. This is what I think this work is worth. This is what I was getting from other contractors. Okay. So that back and forth, he experienced it with me, and I'm a little bit of a tougher customer, and I'm sure he goes through it with other people that aren't aware of just how much construction costs.
Gotcha. Well, let's back it up a minute because I want to talk about the foundation and the process of building a software business. And Dane, phase one of all your stuff is mindset. And I think at least I have a tendency to want to skip over this stuff like, oh, mindset, that's hippie woo-woo stuff. Like, I wouldn't be listening to this if I didn't already have the entrepreneurial mindset. And like, just let's skip straight to the tactics and let's get into this. But, why do we lead off with mindset? I understand what that is. It's important, but I'll let you speak to that.
That's a really good question. As I was listening to you share the whole script that was running in the back of my mind was, does he actually want this tool? And my mind doesn't go anywhere else until that question's answered. Like I've trained myself to the point where I just won't even allow myself to do anything until I know that someone wants a tool. And the tool is only in a couple sentences form. So my form of figuring this out is sending a direct email message to 25, 50, 100 home inspectors that says, hey, would you like a tool that helps you quickly estimate prices so that your bids are accepted on the first day because people can clearly see everything, whatever. And then I just hit send. Just curious if you'd ever want something like that. And then I'd say, sign Dane, P.S. No, I don't have anything to sell you. I haven't even built this. I'm just curious if it's something you'd want. And I'd send that to 25, 50, 100 home inspectors, and I wouldn't think about a single thing until I got confirmation to that. And if I got 5 yeses out of 100 emails, I'd consider that a win if 20 of those emails are opened, which would be about a 1/4 conversion. And then I would move forward. Then I would start thinking about user interface. Then I would start thinking about how much it would cost. Then I would start thinking about development. Then I would start thinking about everything. Those are the first 3 things I would start thinking about. But my mind doesn't even open the door inside until I get that yes. Gotcha. And that is not even that supersedes the actual core of why mindset. The initial question you asked is why mindset. And well, I think that if you had the results that you want, then you would already have the mindset. So I think people are like, oh, I have the mindset, but I'm not taking action. And then I think you don't have the full mindset. Because when you have the full mindset, the action just kind of takes care of itself. So you know if you need mindset if you don't have the result that you want in your life. And if you don't have the results you want in your life, you need to go back to mindset, get your mind on straight, if you will, in terms of entrepreneurship. and then the results are just that's what I like. You can actually measure your mindset based on the results that you have. That's why I like mindset.
Yeah, I think that's a really great. I always think of like, oh, I'm into, health and physical fitness, but it's like by definition, I'm not. Like if I cared that much about having a 6-pack, I would have one by now. It's like by definition, I've made the choice that pizza and beer are more important to me than that, or whatever it is. So I think that your results are interesting. So how does one go about cultivating this mindset if they're not in that space yet?
I've never answered this way before, but I started laughing because I don't know, like I feel like I'm growing up all the time, and I feel like there is more wisdom available to me now than I ever even thought could be possible, and I'm only 31. I'm like, geez, you're
like the old wise elder on this call. I like it.
It feels that way, right?
At 31,
it feels that way. How do you work on mindset? As I think you got to make a committed, consistent approach to getting out of your own way in terms of the thoughts that you have in your mind. So if you are consistently, with a commitment and consistency, very little in the form of results can happen without consistency. Like, you work out hard one day and then you're sore for 2 weeks, but you don't get any results. At least I'm sore for 2 weeks if I work out really hard.
That's welcome to 30. Welcome to 31.
So I would say the commitment, consistent approach to getting out of your own way in terms of the thoughts that you have in your head. So any thought that you have that either disempowers you or prevents you from taking action needs to be considerately and thoroughly addressed. So Examples are, I built a business called recruitingninja.com. It's recruitingninja.com way back in the day. One of the first things I ever did. Built it to close to 6 figures within the first year of releasing it. It's very easy to make 6 figures. It's 100 people, not even 100, like 90 people paying you $100 a month, which is 90 grand a month, or $9,000 a month, which will give you at 104. Mm-hmm. So like 90 people paying you $100 a month. It's not very hard to find 90 people to give you $100 a month. So I got that pretty close to that in the first year. And when I started, I would have thoughts like, oh, is this idea taken? Oh, is there competition? Oh, do I have any experience? Oh, have I ever done this before? Oh, do I have any credibility? Oh, et cetera, et cetera. And any thought that I had, it would come in my mind. I'd be like, does this empower me? No. Does this prevent me from taking action? Yes. Dismissed. And then I would just go.
Yeah, buddy. Wellington, how's your head? You feel empowered?
Yeah. No, actually, I was just thinking about all the times that I've said to myself, oh, I don't have enough time to do this work today, or I'm really tired, or I'm really hungry, let me go get food and then go to bed. And it's resonating what Dane is saying.
Gotcha. Well, let's say, so finding a list of 25 home contractors or renovation contractors is very, very, very easy, even, 100 or 1,000. And then really kind of the eye-opening number there is, hey, I only need 90 customers to build this into a 6-figure business. And we're only talking, for the purpose of this side hustle experiment, we're only talking about a quarter of that. You're looking at 25 different customers. Like, that's a very, very small drop in the bucket of this industry. So let's say we send this message out, we get a handful of responses, and at this point we're just looking for a response that says, yes, I'd be interested, right?
Yeah.
Tell me more. And then what do you do? You're like, let's jump on a call?
Well, actually, I haven't even actually thought that far.
Okay.
So let me just pretend. I'm actually not even very good at pretending. So let's just actually say it really happened. Like, okay, I send this, so like, yeah, I'd be really interested. Oh, I would probably reply and say, oh, cool. Well, what has your interest? How do you currently do it right now?
Okay.
And then I would elicit pain that way. Because it'd be like, well, I do it this way and this way and this way and this way. And what has my interest is because this and this and this. And now I know how to sell them. And this would be legitimately, Wellington, we're talking about like, make yourself look like a grandma on email. Like typos, some all caps, pure, like really make it look like a human definitely wrote that email. So it's full of errors. And I just send like one, I don't say kind regards, best regards. I don't even say thank you sometimes. I would just reply back and be like, oh, cool, what has your interest and how do you do it now? Send. I would literally send it that fast. Tab, enter on Gmail, send.
Okay. One thing that I discovered, I'm sorry to just jump in, but one thing I discovered is a pain point between contractors and investors is making that connection. Contractors to a man, I asked a lot of questions. To a man, one of the biggest pain points was being able to get work. And I spoke with a couple of investors. One of my best friends signed up for a tax lien investing class. And through him, I've been able to talk to a couple of other people. And it's about trying to find a guy or, a guy that somebody recommends to them or has reviews. So maybe the idea should morph into, providing the estimates, but also being able to hook people up together. I feel like contractors would be willing to pay to be on a service that, could rate them, or the way my friend described it, he was like, I'd be willing to join an Uber for contractors where I can find a guy that'll do the right job for me that has 4-star ratings.
How do you feel about that?
I feel like that actually, when he said it to me, I felt like it made sense because that ties into the success of, say, something like an Angie's List. Even though it wouldn't work the same way, it would take a long time to build in the sense that it would generating work from people and generating reviews for those contractors and positive reviews. That's going to take a long time to build.
Yeah, that two-sided marketplace is a notoriously difficult nut to crack because there's no reason for no reason for contractors to come on there until you have a critical mass of homeowners, and there's no reason for homeowners to come on until you have a critical mass of contractors.
Right.
Yeah. That's so the chicken egg thing is you want to take care of the chicken and make money from them for a while, and then you get a big enough marketplace of this, then you could expand that down the line, expand that way down the line. But the thought that you actually said was that what he said he actually wanted was this.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes.
So he said, I want basically push button customers. Is that what he said he wanted?
Yeah.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Okay.
But maybe your tool could help. So, hey, if my pain point is not being able to find enough work, well, here, what's your bidding process look like? Are you getting estimates and just not closing the deal? And maybe we can help you on that front.
Yeah, let's zoom out for a second. What's your goal, Wellington? What do you want, like in life in general, like outside of this? Like, what is it you're doing this for?
I want to be able to dedicate. I want to stop trading my time for money and dedicate my time to the people that I love and to doing the things that I love.
So stop trading your time for money. Does that mean just not working anymore?
No, it means being able to generate, being able to be creative and through that creativity of putting out a service or being able to connect people together, be able to generate money in that sense in a way that I don't physically have to be present or, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
Well, it's interesting that to me, intuitively, it feels that you're about like 70% clear / articulate with what you're wanting. Does that land for you?
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay. Any reason why it's not 100?
Because I feel like I just won't know until I get there.
Won't know what?
I won't know exactly what I want until I have it in hand.
It sounds like you're pretty clear on what you don't want. Does
Right.
that fit?
That does fit.
That's typically the shortcut to increasing your desire to the point where you can't stand it is just to write down everything that you don't want ever again, and then just making a stand. And you're like, all right, I declare my independence. I will no longer live as a slave, because that's the opposite of freedom is slavery.
Correct.
So, well, what's your lifestyle like right now?
What's my lifestyle like right now? I work probably 70 hours a week at my corporate job. It's construction, and due to a small budget, I'm actually on the management side, but I end up having to help out a lot in the field with my labor force, which I'm not technically supposed to, but I do it anyway, and it cuts into my time to be able to plan ahead, which is what I'm supposed to do. Look 6 months down the line, so I could have materials and everything just ready to go for when the time comes that I need to perform, XYZ action. So what ends up happening is that during the day I'm running around like crazy, and then I have to stay at night and just do that proper planning so that I don't end up doing a bad job at my project.
Wow. Do you have a family, like wife, kids, or anything?
No, single.
Single. Well, I actually felt my heart break a little bit when you said you had 70 hours a week. Also knowing that in addition to that 70 hours, you're now talking to me, and I just feel an immense amount of gratitude to be talking with you, and also for Nick putting this together. And I just want you to know, like in like the core of my being, I feel like such a fight in me for you to have what you want.
Well, thanks. I really appreciate that.
And I want you to know that it is possible. And to me, I don't, like you say, you want to stop exchanging time for money. What I think that's like a nice beginning step. But what I think you're really saying is like, I want to work on things that I enjoy, make money while I'm not working, and work less.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is that fit for you?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I love my job I love construction. I love putting things together. It's just right now, not just right now, it's just not the right fit for me to put in so many hours and to affect or to move the needle so little day to day.
Would you want to do any side hustle income if your job was 40 hours a week at this construction?
Yeah, absolutely.
You'd still want to do the side hustle?
Absolutely.
On a scale of like 0 to 100%, how strong is your desire to want to be an entrepreneur? Right now, in this moment, in this minute, knowing it could change in the next.
Right now, this moment, this minute, it's over 100%.
Over 100%. And why don't you think you're there yet?
There's always the what ifs. What if the economy tanks? What if nobody hires me? What if I can't find the right guys to like say I open my own construction company to do work for me? What if I need to get a developer and it costs me way more than, what if I get rejected again from the App Store or whatever I apply to?
And if I pause you there, would you mind going to a level of vulnerability with me here?
Sure.
Thank you. If you zero in on all those statements, my guess is that they emanate from a feeling. Do you have a sense of what that feeling is?
Yeah, I know exactly what that feeling is. Like I said before that I want to spend the time with my family, my loved ones. My parents came from the Dominican Republic. They're immigrants, and I'm the firstborn son. I'm the firstborn child, and I am currently the most successful, and I need to make sure that I can take care of my family, my brother, my sister, and both my parents, to make sure that nothing happens to them. And I can't do that if there's no income. Otherwise, I would have quit my job long ago.
So I asked you for a feeling, and you told me a story which kind of hints to a feeling.
Yeah, it's fear.
Fear. What does it feel like right now to name it?
I'm not supposed to be afraid of anything, so it's a little embarrassing.
You're not supposed to be afraid of anything, so it's a little embarrassing. I'd be curious how, Nick, it impacts you to hear Wellington share he's afraid. On my side, I feel a tremendous amount of respect for you, and I see courage when you share that. Nick, what happens for you?
Yeah, well, you just said it. Well, I'm not supposed to be afraid, and here you are admitting it on the podcast. But it's, and it is very brave to say those words. The thing is, you never really, fully conquer fear, right? Like we all have fears. So I think that's okay. But it's more of, what can we do to not bottle those fears, but to, minimize them or, channel them into something productive, something positive.
Yeah, that's one alternative to this solution. There are I've been with about 1,400 entrepreneurs at the foundation now, and so I've been able to test and find some pretty effective ways to really address the issue at a root level. And we don't really have the space to go into that kind of a thing on this call, but Wellington, we can get you there. First, I want to just comment on. So, are you the primary caretaker financially for your parents?
Not yet, but they're in their 60s, and I foresee myself having to be at that level pretty soon.
And so you have over 100% desire to be an entrepreneur right now, and the reason you said stopping you is all the what ifs, and the what ifs are stemming from fear.
Correct.
So you've talked to one home inspector, contractor guy.
Well, no, I talked to a couple, but since that was the most recent one, that was literally yesterday. That's the experience I relayed.
Do the what ifs stop you from taking action to the degree that you know you need to take action to be free?
They do just enough. It's not like all my what ifs. If it's a side hustle, it doesn't. There's no reason for me to push forward. That's what I'm starting to realize now. It's more so, if I say what if it costs too much to get developed? Then whatever, I'll figure it out. I'll keep working. If it's a side hustle, it doesn't. If I'm not taking it on full time, it's not a big stopping point.
So you're starting to realize now that maybe your desire is not strong enough?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe it's not 100%. Maybe I need to get it there.
Well, even if you tried to get it there, that even feels forced too, and just kind of another recipe for possible burnout. What I'm hearing you say is it almost seems like you're like kind of wishing that your back was up against the wall, but at the same time you got all these what ifs haunting you. Does that fit, or am I off on that?
No, it fits. It fits.
You seem like a pretty ferocious dude. Like, if your back was up against the wall, I would be like, damn, dude, I want to see what this guy does when his back's up against the wall.
Yeah, nothing would stop me. I'm born and raised in the Bronx, so New York. So. Right.
Yeah, man. So what's it going to take for you to get your back against the wall?
I know what I want to say, but I don't want to say it. It would take having to leave my current place of employment.
So you know what you want to say, but you don't want to say it because it would have you leaving the place of your employment.
It would take away my security blanket.
Take away your security blanket.
Yeah, that's a scary place to be for sure.
Yeah, and I don't recommend people leave their job until they've replaced their income with their side hustle. I'm guessing you'd feel the same, Nick.
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't go jump off the cliff.
Oh, I just hit send on the email.
Now, the thing is, what I was hearing more is, hey, I am going to be able to use my day job income to bankroll whatever startup costs that I may encounter on this journey while I build my way out.
Yes.
Yeah, and I wonder if, I think like, so there's something internally, Wellington, that I imagine needs to shift for you just to become on fire for this kind of life. And the leaving your job and getting your back up against the wall is sort of like manipulating your external world to try and fix or change something that might be in your internal world. Do you have any sense or idea of what internally could shift so that you don't have to manipulate the external world?
My mantra throughout life has always been, I will work harder. It's always been, I'll put in more time. I'll make sure that I'm the best. I'll make sure that I'm the top. But what I'm finding is that I'm running out of time. So how do I create space for this where it's something that it's a fire in me, you're right, that I want to accomplish, and I just need to do it the smart way. So that's what I'm thinking right now. How can I do this efficiently and effectively without going through the iterations? Nick told you when we first got on that I just got an app approved on the App Store. It took 6 months to get it approved. I don't want to go through that again. I want to do something, like I said, effective and efficient.
Where would you like the call to go from here, Wellington? What would you like to have at the end of the call?
in my heart of hearts, what I would really like is to grow. Having spoken with you now, just I didn't know what to expect up front. I'll be honest with you, but I want to make sure that I have a definite fire that's growing in my belly, which it already is, and I want to make sure that I have the next few steps, not laid out, but just an idea as to just point me in a direction, and I'll run to it, and I'll run through the wall.
Wonderful. So a fire in your belly that's already kind of starting to grow there, and that just continues to burn, and a path to follow.
Yes.
That's really interesting. Like, it sounds like the true fire, the true motivation, the true hunger for it is more important, is more valuable than even the tactics, the next steps. It's just like, you got to want it so bad first, and then let's figure out what to do.
Yeah, Nick, I'll be honest with you, being just the little bit of pushback from Dane and the little bit of a challenge from Dane is making me, it's more of a, what the F? I do really want this. Like, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to fight for, and nobody's going to take it away from me. So I don't mind being a junkyard dog. And if just like I said, I just need a path, and I will attack.
What if I told you I'm going to take it away from you?
I'm going to bite you.
You're going to bite me. What else?
I'm not going to let go.
How does that model of operation and view of the world work for you?
It has my whole career. I've noticed that when I've had competition, when I've had the threat of somebody else taking my position or my next role, that's when I rise to the top.
So you really, really thrive in competition.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right, guys, just wanted to jump in here because it's about to get a little bit weird, but bear with me because there's something really powerful that comes out at the other end of this next segment.
So I kind of, if you wouldn't mind, just taking a deep breath in with me, just a deep breath in right now. And just another one. And I just want to invite you to be softer for just like a minute or two. Is that possible for you?
Sure.
Thank you. In this softness, with the bite gone, the attack gone, the run through walls gone, as you really touch into is your belly the area you feel the most right now?
No, I'd say my backbone.
Your backbone. Yeah. And can you soften around your backbone for me?
Yep.
When I ask you this question, let it sit for a second and don't let your mind, or if your mind runs, let it, but wait for an answer to come from your backbone. And the question is, what is really stopping you? Wellington. What does your backbone say?
Nothing is really stopping me. That's what my backbone is telling me.
And how does it feel to acknowledge that?
Good in a sense, but more bad in that not that I've wasted all this time, but that I've put up all these just these barriers, and I shouldn't keep doing that to myself. And it's, all my friends, I'm the only one that's corporate. All my friends are entrepreneurs. They own their own businesses, and all they've ever told me is just jump. All it takes is just jump, and you'll land on your feet, and everything will work out. And They know me very well as I think I'm a smart, resourceful guy, and they're right, and you're right. There's nothing really stopping me.
It's funny that you said that I'm right, because it was you that said it.
Touche.
And I agree. And you know, maybe you fall on your face, dude, and you break your face and you put it in a cast and you stand back up. You know, do you want to die at going for freedom, or do you want to live as a slave?
I want to die going for freedom.
Yeah. So on your path to dying going to freedom, would you like some actions?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, first is you have a community of entrepreneurs that I love, because if I were you, I would feel like kind of a dipshit if I was hanging around with all these entrepreneurs all the time and I hadn't jumped yet.
Trust me, I do.
That's great. You know, I noticed it doesn't change. By the way, you know, the businesses that I'm in, I have a couple businesses that are in low seven figures, and I hang around guys that are doing 25 million or whatever. Like, those would be the friends I hang out with from time to time, and I feel like a dipshit too. I'm like, but the friends thing is great. So I'm really happy to see you in community, because that confidence comes from being in community with people. And so that's where I really recommend you start, is by building that confidence by staying in community. It's the first action path. The second is really getting clear on how much you want to make from this endeavor. How much is that?
My goal is $2,500 a month.
Okay. It seems like a very reasonable, realistic goal. If you're wanting to make $2,500 a month, I would factor in about $5,000 a month in revenue, so that you've got server costs and you've got a developer that can continue to innovate the product and help with features, and also the developer will handle your customer support requests as well, which will just kind of self innovate the product for you by having the developer do your customer support. So the first thing that you're going to want to do with all that in place, I would say also, man, just like remind yourself how much you love you, like as consistently as you can. Like, that's coming through really loud for me right now. Is just like I can sense the tremendous amount of love over here that it seems like you have for yourself, to be able to power through 70 hours, to be able to want this. So resting into that love that you have for yourself and letting that be your grounding space, especially when you go into the what ifs, because you could conquer fear, you could outthink fear, or you just drop into so much love that the fear just melts and recontextualizes to not even make any sense. So I would really practice in dropping into that loving space for yourself. Now that you're empowered with this, you've got the community, you've got the goal, and you've got this grounded, centered love for yourself to melt fear. Next thing is to become absolutely obsessed with these contractors. Like, relentlessly obsessed with them. And in this relentless obsession, you marry their problem. Like, this is hard to do. Like, and it feels like more like advice I've heard when I say marry their problem. The way that Heaton Shaw said that's his phrase, but like the way that I think about it is, I'm just like, I care so much about their problem more than I care about my solution. And if you can do this, you will be in like the most elite group of entrepreneurs that I know of, that can put aside their own agenda, aside from you have your goal, about what solution you think they should have, and just go in and care about their problem. Like, when I felt my heart break for you when you said 70 hours a week, that kind of empathy that I drop into is incredibly powerful when I'm talking to a customer. And I don't do it to get anything. I just do it because it actually feels really good to feel you, man. It felt good to feel my heart break. Like, it nourishes me to be with you right now, man. Like, I'm on fire spending time with you because I feel so much care for your situation. I'm like, damn it, Wellington, you better do this. And you will. And I have no doubt about it. So that becoming obsessed looks like, from a tactical perspective, it's very simple and straightforward. It looks like you're talking to these contractors and you're getting inside their world and you're figuring out what their different pain points are. And you're going to look for a pain point that you can actually implement in 12 weeks or less. So this is where you might find a little bit of frustration, a little bit of a challenge. But if all you're looking for is really $2,500 a month, it may be a lot easier to do than this app. So if you start caring about this contractor, now what you can do with this kind of care, let's just kind of test this for an example here. Can you imagine really deeply caring about a contractor, Wellington?
Absolutely.
And can you imagine like how you might show up for them if you deeply care for them?
Absolutely.
If you found a contractor's email and you felt a level of care for them could you imagine feeling a level of care for a contractor without ever meeting them?
Yes. Yeah.
Wonderful. So you see a contractor's email on the internet and you picture this contractor's life and you picture them going about their day, submitting bids, wondering where their customers are going to come in, yada, yada, all this stuff happening. And they're going through their day and you're wanting to care for them ultimately so that you can develop a product and become an entrepreneur. What kind of message would you want to send to them to start a discussion to find out what you could care about and help them solve? What kind of message would you want to send in like 1 or 2, maybe 3 sentences? Like that feels to the core of true for you and your personality and your Bronx style.
Well, I mean, I know for a fact, it being my main hustle, being a general contractor, I know how hard it is to get work, and I know how hard it is to keep selling work in the future, to keep your people working for you if you have a big business. So I want to make sure that those guys, they have their employees working, their employees happy, and obviously make money for themselves.
Great. So can you imagine an email coming into an inbox to a contractor? It says, hey, what's up, Wellington? Hey, man, I know how hard it is to find work, and I know how hard it is to keep work, and I know how hard it is to continue to get work to come in, let alone take care of your team in the process. I'm a fellow contractor, and I'm wondering if there's ways that we might be able to brainstorm together, put our minds together, and maybe make our businesses better together. Would you ever be open to having a discussion with me? Send.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Now, on that discussion, you'd want to set context on that call to be like, hey, man, I want to have a discussion. I want to see if we can share ideas. And I also want you to know an intention of mine is to find a way to maybe develop a product that might be so effective and easy and simple for you to use that you would be so happy to pay for it because it helps your business so much, keeping in mind that I don't know if that exists, and I don't even know if we might even find one. But the only criteria that we would ever build a product in is if you're so thrilled that you might pay for it. And maybe vice versa for you with me. How does that sound? And then they'll tell you. And then now you have proper context set that this is a call where you're going to be talking about their painful problems where they might have. And they might be like, oh gosh, yeah, actually I have like 3 products I really want right now. How does that sound?
It sounds like something fairly reasonable.
Fairly reasonable. So like, what's going on for you right now?
Well, what's going on for me is, it's New York City. I don't know how many people are going to buy it. It's just in the sense that, who the heck is this guy emailing me? Why is he bothering me? Why is he wasting my time? Is this a scam? Those types of questions.
Yeah, no, that's good. So I really like that your mind went there. So these are all concerns that seem super legitimate, and I trust that if you just feel into the level of care that you have and communicate from that place, the words you use won't necessarily matter nearly as much as how much care you feel for that person. With a proper, healthy relationship, knowing that people do love to buy products that do help improve their life. and not having any shame around wanting to do that for a person. Because what you're doing is a gift. You're basically doing what every person could ever dream of. You're not trying to sell them anything. You just want to give them exactly what they want. Like, what you're doing is a huge gift to the world. Because you're not hawking another product. You're like legitimately coming in with care and be like, hey man, I want to help you, but only if it actually helps you. So it's like when you get the message right, the timing right, and you align that, you become like very, very stand out above the crowd. People love you. They get value out of the calls, even if nothing even happens. So that's how you want to initiate the conversations. Now, keeping in mind, now that you're initiating conversations, and just feel into that care. You've got the email copy to send that out, seeing what happens, iterating on the fly, dropping into the care, dropping into the love. And then you've got this other app idea in mind that you can bring up on conversations. So when you start having conversations with these contractors, you're then going to talk about things like, hey, so tell me, how do you go about estimating budgets? Don't pitch your idea. Ask them how they currently do the problem that your product solves. Let them tell you. And then when they go into that story, then you can start kind of identifying with, well, hey, is there even room for me to bring up my product idea? But there's no real room for you to bring up your product idea until you find out how they're currently solving that problem and if they even see it as a problem. Then that's the point where you go and bring your product up. Once you get it approved, you get people saying yes, you need to go into a pre-sale and selling your product before it exists. And now we're getting into like, man, there's really a lot that you need to learn, and it's all learnable. That the high level looks like you get these contractors you talk to them, you find the problem that you care about, that they care about, that you want to solve, that they would pay for, and then you're going to bring, let's say it's a software product, then you're going to go to themeforest.net and find different interfaces that you can buy. Then you're going to find a developer on odesk.com or larajobs.com is where we hired our latest developer, larajobs.com, great place to hire a dev. We posted the posting there. We had 25 people apply. We tested 3 of them. We ended up hiring 2 of them. And so you'll find them on Larajobs, and you're going to strip down that product to only. You're going to keep going back to those contractors, and you're going to say, what are the features that you need to use this product? Not want to have, like nice to have, just the bare minimum. Because we want to get you using this on the bare minimum feature set, so it's simple to learn, and that's generally how you do it. So that they might ask for lots of features, but you just say, well, what do you absolutely need? Now that you're getting the software developed, you're just talking back and forth with you want 2 or 3 contractors that are huge champions that you're like talking to on the daily or the weekly, where you're just like, every week you're sending them an update of the product. Here's how the screenshots look like. What do you think of this? You're talking to them all the time, back and forth. You do not wait till the product's done to talk to them. You're talking to them all the time, courting them, dating them. Really good stuff. So that way. Then by the time when the product comes out, you're just going to roll out 1 user at a time, and I don't know. I think from that point on, you'll be able to figure it out. In terms of pricing, quick, hard, dirty ways to do that are to price it for 10% of the value. So you might find out how many jobs they lose a month or jobs they lose a year because they aren't able to accurately quote a competitive rate. I lose 6 jobs a year. Those 6 jobs cost me $10,000 each. I lose $60,000 a year. So, $6,000 for a year might be a good way to price it. So I want to pause. I do need to get going here in a couple minutes, but I wanted to pause and see if there are any final thoughts or questions that I could answer for you, either from you or Nick.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all this stuff. Do you have a ballpark number of people you want to talk to in this initial phase to get a consensus that you feel comfortable with? Man,
I go, my most successful products, I only ever talk to 1 dude.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Wow. But that was a really successful dude. Like top in the field. Because you build someone for the top in the field, everyone else wants to use it.
Yeah.
And so I just ask, I find the top guys, and then I'm like, hey, would other people want this product if I built it? And they're like, yes. And then that's my validation usually.
Okay.
How did you find this dude?
Oh man. There are systematic ways to do that. You can find people who have they're the head of the association chapters for contractors. Like the heads of those guys are good. Guys that come up the top in Google.
Okay.
Things like that. In this case, it really was like just divine timing for me with these guys. I was just adding a lot of value to the real estate niche. And so these people were reaching out to me by that point. And I was adding value, just making stuff up, by the way. You know, I didn't know anything about real estate, so I talked to other successful real estate owners. Like if you want to get a lot of contractors' attention, like I just talk to a lot of real estate owners, and I say, like I find that real estate owners that are successful, and you find out if they're successful by essentially asking them. And like then I'd find out what are they the best at their field, and then I would interview them, and then I would share those interviews around with other real estate brokers, and then people would just start contacting me. And all you would need to do is just find good contractors, interview them on how they run their practice, share them with other contractors. At the same time you're having these conversations, you're adding all this value, and it just kind of spirals from there.
Wellington, does it seem doable to kind of set these initial send these initial emails, kind of start collecting these interviews and collecting some feedback?
I'm on Google right now.
All right. I love it, man. Any questions for Dane before we jump off?
No.
Thank you so much for being so generous with your time, Dane. Check him out at thefoundation.com. We'll link all that stuff up in the show notes as well. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side here.
All right.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning in all the way to the very end. Curious to hear your thoughts on this episode, because good, bad, or indifferent, because I will admit it's probably unlike any episode we've done so far. So leave me a comment in the show notes it'll be at sidehustlenation.com/PC or /119, whichever is easier to remember. Let me know what you think, or hit me up on Twitter as well. I'm at nloper. We're going to get Wellington's take on this conversation with Dane, plus the app updates here in the next few weeks. If it would be helpful to see the email outreach scripts that Dane just kind of masterfully just rattled off the top of his head, you can do. I'll have those posted on the show notes as well. sidehustlenation.com/PC. So hopefully this conversation was useful to you to get kind of an inside look at some of the discussions we have with ourselves and some of the hurdles that we've got to get over before we can really take action and go full steam ahead. So stay tuned tomorrow for an update from Catherine, my other public coaching volunteer, and check out sidehustlenation.com/services if you'd like to work directly with me to help move your side hustle to the next level. Thanks so much. Until next time, let's go out there and make something happen. And I'll see you in the next edition of the Side Hustle Show. Hustle on.
Thanks for listening to The Side Hustle Show at www.sidehustlenation.com.